T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast, episode 415. I'm your boy MJ. What is good? Hope everyone's having a beautiful Tuesday. Hope you're having a good start to your week. Happy holidays out there. Looking forward to getting down to business Thursday night because I love to eat. But anyways, what's good, man? I'm your boy MJ. If this is your first time hanging out with me and the Trappers, do me a favor. Hit that like button, especially if you're into Black Dargon, the Black Asian water monitor. Hit that like button for our guests tonight, and then hit that subscribe button. All right, if you're into keeping reptiles or just overall learning more as far as breeding or just better husbandry, whatever, this is the podcast to be tapping into Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I don't miss. All right, so hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all, and you won't miss either. You won't miss anything by doing that. If you're looking for exclusive content, if you like to support more than what I do, if you want to support me on my mission with what I have going on with the podcast, more than just watching an episode, if you want to tap in with over 185 trappers in the Discord, loyal reptile keepers, if you want to grow your network, then don't look any further than going down to the very first link in the description below. Click on it. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Trap Talk Patreon family, connect you to that Discord, and then you also get connected to the IG group chat. Mad networking with mad player reptile keepers. I'm telling you right now, man, it's the way to grow. Thank you to all my trappers out there. You guys are my heart. Every Sunday, we get together with the V-Unit family on Zoom. All right. That's another community of awesome reptile keepers that we just come face to face with. All right. The more, the merrier. People help you grow in this. Remember, I said that. People help you grow in this. Shout out to my dog, my right hand, big E top G, Emilio, Villarina Reptiles. But yes, every Sunday, come kick it with us. Trappers, Patreon members, you guys are my heart. I appreciate you guys so much. Support US ARC, very important. If you're into the reptile game, period, you have to understand who US ARC is. You must become a member and help us get those numbers up because it's very important when it comes to going head-to-head with some of these a-holes that are in office. Kind of bullshit what we have to deal with, but you never know. Usually when it's quiet, that's the scariest moment for this hobby. So get ahead of the curve. Come join US ARC. Join the fight. Shout out to Phil Goss. Shout out to anyone who's a US ARC member. Thank you for being on the team. Appreciate you. I want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by that reptile show that's happening very shortly, less than a month. Shit, like 2 weeks. The Reptile Breeders Show, the holiday show, thrown by Bomb Projects, happening in downtown Los Angeles, December 9th, 10 a.m. to 5 o'clock. Check it out. It's a free show if you go to reptilebreedershow.com and RSVP that. So if you RSVP, walk into there for free. For whatever reason, if you don't do that, pay $10 at the door, but go enjoy many vendors with diversity of reptiles that are going to be shown here. It's going to be awesome, man. Geckos, frogs, spiders. Yeah, I said spiders. Ball pythons, different snake species. And you can catch me there, catch a few other heavy hitters at the Reptile Breeder Show. Very stoked to be having a show in between the Reptile Super Show, which shout out to the Reptile shout out to the Reptile Super Show. My boy Rami throws the #1 reptile show in the country. Never misses. Cannot wait. Tap in. If you want to see vending from the trap, if you want to ever see the trap vend, the only show I ever vend is a Reptile Super Show here in Cali. Pomona, it's going down. January, be ready. Go to reptilesupershow.com or head over to their Instagram. Follow Reptile Super Show to be on top of any current news or headlines to be known happening at the coolest Reptile Super Show in the country. Rami, thank you for everything you do. Cannot wait. It's going to be epic. All right. I also want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by RGI, Rare Genetic Inc. Anyone out there who's looking to geek out and understand that you can now turn in your ball python sheds to Rare Genetic Inc. and actually find what the proven morph is in that animal. Super next level, super groundbreaking. And shout to Ben, shout to Sean. Big things to come from RGI and the trap. So be ready, especially if you're into that geeky side of what we do, because I think it's interesting to kind of learn more about all this scientific stuff, man. Who would ever thought, doing shit that we were doing in school. But now it's like, I kind of wish I was paying attention. Not even gonna lie. Last but not least, shout to Ship Your Reptiles, #1 shipping company in the reptile game, the OGs in the game, the pros. You ship your reptiles. Shout to Chad Brown. Shout to Susie. You guys are amazing. All right. They have a Black Friday discount going on for Ship Your Reptiles. All right. And then also you can use my promo code Trap Talk as well to save yourself $15. But make sure that next time you're considering shipping your reptiles, you Ship Your Reptiles. Because like I said, the pros, you ship your reptiles. All right. Dude, what's good? Early birds, whoever's in the chats tonight, I'm stoked. Got to say what up to the people in the live chats. If you're in the live chats tonight, don't be shy with any super chats. If you think tonight's guest or this episode deserves any super chats, drop that and we'll put it on the screen, especially if it's a epic topic or question that relates to what we're talking about tonight. But who's here, man? Who's ready to rock and roll? I'm ready to do this, dude. Justin Campbell, what's good, player? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie JD, Meteoric Serpents in the building. Head over to his podcast, Colluted Corruption. Do not sleep every Sunday. This man's not going to miss. I got a good feeling about this guy and his podcast future. My boy JD, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Appreciate you. James, All City Serpents in the building. What's good, player? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie Josh, Scalp Fins and Feathers. What's up, player? Local Cali homie of mine. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Miller's Menagerie in the building. What's up, Miller's Menagerie? What's good? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Corsa Gaze 9000. I know what that name means now. At first, I was like, what? But yeah, man, Black Dragon. Can you believe it? We're going to be talking about Black Dragons tonight. I'm stoked. The homie man Freddy, MORPH Valley Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Travis Gordon, TNS Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie Bionic Benito, my dog right here. What a guy, what a soul. Been around this guy a couple times, and I want to be around him more. Which, go to Animal Con, you can see some legendary people like the homie Bionic Benny, which we'll be talking Animal Con for sure tonight. But appreciate this guy. Please go follow him, please. He has quite the story. But like I said, overall, really good individual. It's my dog right here. Appreciate you for being here, Benny. The homegirl Lily, my big sis, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Eric's MORPH Factory. Dog, I'm pretty sure I got your shirt. I haven't opened it. Yellow envelope on my table. I think it said Eric on it. If that's the case, I'm going to be repping it very shortly. Shout out to my dog, V-Unit family, all day, every day. Deviant Glass, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Celtic Reptiles in the building. What's up, player? Big Mike, 1776 Exotics, Trap Talk Patreon member, the OG in the building. Part of the elite team for sure. Jordan, Heartland Reptiles, my dog, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Big Willie, 217 Pythons in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Heath and Hatchery in the buildings, my dog. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Bradley Pruss in the building. Probably still butchering that name, but what are you going to do? Eden's, by the way, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Eden's Dan, the homie right here. Eden in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member. Big D, my dog, Dylan, Patreon member, but also sick-ass Burmese python keeper. And he has sick ball pythons. You don't want to sleep on my homie Dylan, bro. He's a hitter. All right. And he reps to PNW. Damn, shout out to the homie Dragon Soul, the homie Patrick in the building. You know what? I love Chicago. Chicago is something I love really next level because of the food, the restaurants, but also my homie Patrick's from there. And we're going to end it in style with my homie Patrick from Dragon Soul Reptiles. Go give him a follow. But guys, it's game time. Got my homegirl on the other line. She's ready to tap in with us. We're going to get the business on this Black Dragon monitor talk. I'm sorry, man. My mind's everywhere right now. But either way, man, I'm finally stoked. We're going to be geeking out about Black Dragons. So you should be too. Let's get down to this. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated because it's that time. Oh, it's that time. Episode 415 coming at you right now with our homegirl Cheyenne. Let's go. You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the drop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody,
And we're live, episode 415 with Cheyenne. What's up, girl?
Hey, what's up?
Where'd that backdrop come from? That's epic. You didn't have that in sound check.
I know Johnny was like, yeah, you need to put a background on. I was like, okay, so he just set it up for me really quick.
Shout out to Johnny, who we'll be hearing about Johnny later on the show. But Johnny's the boyfriend who's obviously on top of it because that background looks hard as shit. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot better than the wall. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, but what's up, man? Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're coming, like where you reside from, and what species of reptiles you're working with, and all that. Why don't you just let us know?
Yeah, so I'm Cheyenne, and I keep black dragons. I have 2 black dragons, Kata and Kilua. Kata's the boy.
Nice.
No, yeah, Kata's a boy and Kilua is the girl, but we also call her Kill. So if you hear me say Kill, it's Kilua. I also keep King Gorams. We have a bearded dragon. We've got like 3 Sphinx Cats, and we've got 2 Yorkies.
Wow.
But people mainly see the Sphinx Cats and the monitors.
Huge fan. Listen, I'm a dog guy, right? But I appreciate cats. I love the unique side of cats that are kept in the pets trade, and that species of cats is definitely one of my favorites. Maybe because of Austin Powers, but I just love. What's the proper name for that cat again? I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher it or anything. What do you call it like that?
They're Canadian Sphinx Cats.
Sphinx Cats, okay, but they're hairless, right? Is that okay? So I love stuff like that. Either way, like it's cool that you have like a unique, broad, range of stuff that you keep. But monitors, which we're talking about tonight, is like, dude, it's kind of like not. You got to be born to want to keep a monitor to the point where you're ready to keep it at that size as a black dragon gets, because like we were saying in sound check, it's a everyday maintenance type of thing. Those things are fucking messy. But either way, I'm just curious like how you got into the level as far as wanting to keep monitors at a big species of monitors like black dragon. How did that even come about?
It's funny because we are the people that people tell you not to be like, right? So
I like those.
We're those people. We're the impulsive buyer people. It started off with us rescuing a sulcata tortoise. He was literally just walking down the streets of Gardena, and we just snatched him up because it was no one's pet. He was just walking around.
Right.
We didn't know what he was. We weren't in the reptile industry. Reptiles weren't anything that we thought, about.
Right.
We rescued him, and then we ended up finding out about JTK shop because he's in Long Beach, which is really close to Gardena. We FaceTimed him, and he was like, "Oh, that's a sulcata tortoise," and we were like, "Oh, this is one of the tortoises that gets really big." And he was like, "Yeah, look at mine." And then we just kind of followed him from then on. And then Johnny saw a picture of a black dragon, and it was just a baby black dragon, like a hatchling.
They're so cute when they're small, huh?
They're so cute. Like, how can you not buy at least 6 of them, right?
Dude, yeah.
So we saw them, and then we went down to his shop, and then we saw his big sulfur monitor, and we were like, oh, that's how big they get? Let's get 3 of them. And that's just what happened. So
that the homie JTK is your influence. That was that was the bridge, which that's kind of how it all stands. Somebody has that kind of influence, and it's, and I think from someone like that, I respect his work, man. I think it's awesome to have someone like that kind of inspired you, because he socializes a lot with his animals. And I think that is the number one important thing you need to be willing to spend time on, is getting that animal to at least trust you. I get that not all animals could trust everyone in the room, but it at least needs to respect you. Like, it needs to be like, have someone who could keep it in check as much as it could be. Right.
Right.
But okay, because you're in Wyoming right now. That's where you're from, right? Or that's where you're currently in?
That's where I'm living right now. I'm from San Diego.
You're from San Diego, which is great. Oh, it's so great to have someone who's actually from a place that I brag about all the time, and people getting their feelings.
Yeah.
Like,
San Diego's unicorns, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, man. And I even have people like, well, I've been there, and I'll instantly ask them, well, what'd you do when you were here? And they can't even tell me a beach they went through. And I'm like, don't take. I was like, I don't think you visited San Diego. If you were like, did you stop by the airport or what's going on? And because if you do San Diego right, you'll never forget San Diego. It's
right.
People talk about wanting to live here all the fucking time when you visit here. You know what I'm saying? But what an adjustment. So San Diego, then LA County, right? So you kind of went from SD, LA County. LA is where everything with reptiles really that's the birth of everything, right?
Right.
And then how many reptiles did you have before you moved from LA to Wyoming?
So we had Kada, and then we went to the Pomona show, and then we ended up with 2 snakes, 2 hoggies, and then a bearded dragon. So literally maybe like 2 months after we had those 4, we moved to Wyoming.
Okay. So you start off with one black dragon first. You didn't buy the pair right off the bat. So you started with one.
Right. So we started, I got this mixed up. So we had one, his name was Crollo.
Okay.
And then he passed within a month of us having him. And we had already put the deposit down on Kada.
Right.
So we would have had Crollo and Kada before we moved, but we only had Kada. And then once we moved to Wyoming, we ended up getting Kilua.
What happened to Krillo? Or did I say that right? Krilla or Krillo?
Crollo?
Krillo, yeah. What happened to that? What was this? Did you go to a vet or did it have RI or what how'd that animal pass?
So 3 days after we received him, I started seeing like respiratory infection signs. And it was so rough because like we took him to the vet and the vet was literally like shoving. I've never seen a vet do this before, but literally plugged the syringe all the way down to his stomach and filled it with medicine. And we were just like, what is going on? So I think that he had an RI and then the medication was just too much for his body maybe. And then he just ended up passing, but yeah.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. Like if you really kind of ask somebody, like the amount of vets that are experienced with exotics is so limited. It's
Right.
more likely you're going to someone who has no clue what the fuck, maybe with dogs, right? But not with a reptile, you know, and you know, I've like, you know, Tuesday, I've had a lot of tree monitor discussions. My buddy Cody, who's taken in a lot of imports, like he's gotten that shit down on treating them, but also has been a victim of an animal being over treated too much and it dies. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not an animal that you could mess around and overdose that shit with. Like you have to be very mindful. And some of them don't even need certain dosages that they're being given. Either way, it's super unfortunate. Like that's, but what's cool about this, it didn't deteriorate you from continuing on and want to keep the species. Like obviously
Well,
you push forward, you know.
It kind of did because
Tell me, please.
once we had gotten Crollo, we had put a deposit on Kada. And then when Crollo passed, we just weren't sure, you know, if we wanted to continue with having a reptile because we were like, dang, like, what if this happens again? And we got Kada from CJ Gentle. And CJ was like, you know, I think you guys should just try it out, you know? And he's the one that really convinced us to pursue keeping black dragons. And then we got Kada and he was so social and we just loved him. So it was a wrap after that.
Oh, good. Okay, so and then you got Kada, right? Kada, you got at a young baby as a small monitor as well.
Yep, Kada we got I think a few weeks after he hatched.
Okay, and did you get recommendation as far as like how to handle it or interaction or like what made you want to be so ahead of the curve as far as like socializing and whatnot, or did that come after? Like how did socializing become introduced to the black dragon?
I feel like it came after. It came when we got Kilua because Kada and Crollo were both already social. There wasn't anything that we had to do with them. They were just special. But Kilua was the one where, you know, you'd walk in the room and she would freeze, or you'd put your hand in the enclosure and she'd whip you, or she'd hiss at you. She'd inflate her throat. She'd try to bite you. There were times where I would wake her up to change her water. And she would be, I've never seen this in an animal before, but she would be so pissed off that she would literally run and like go towards your arm like she was going to bite you.
Wow.
And you know, when you're handling an animal like that, they get big, and that's a potentially dangerous situation when they're, you know, older. So we just figured, you know, we just have to like come up with innovative ways to tame this dragon. Otherwise, it's going to be potentially dangerous for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like, because a lot of people at first are like, "Oh my god, it's intimidating." Like, so my first introduction, I haven't talked about this in a while, but my very first introduction into a monitor game was a Nile monitor, and I bought that shit out. I bought that out of a pet store because I just thought it wasn't a Nile monitor because it was like really yellow. It was a real pretty one, and it was a juvenile maybe, but not to the point where it got after 4 years, right? But either way, I remember getting it and I was like, this thing is epic, but it's pretty fucking intense. Like you're saying, it had an attitude where wasn't scared to come at me, wasn't scared to tail whip me. It clamped me a couple times, you know, but it was the size where luckily it wasn't anything crazy, you know, like you let it go and it's nothing bad, right? But I did work pretty daily with this thing until a year and a half, 2 years, when it got the size of my forearm, where I was he wouldn't chill out. Like there's, and you know, they also say Niles that are imported and shit like that. Like some of them kind of like you could get them to come back, but once they have so many of those effed up experiences and being transferred and all that, like there's no going back. And mind you, I know I could do better with my first monitor, but man, like as that thing was getting older and bigger, it was putting more lacerations in me, making me bleed. And I was like, this is going to get rough. And so that was a huge eye-opening like experience for me. Luckily, I put it in the right home with somebody who had the experience and kept it as a pet and all that cool stuff. But man, like that could have been a potential bad situation because that thing was just not showing any signs of wanting to chill at all whatsoever. Now the laces, which we'll talk about maybe a little later, whole other story, right? Because like I had these things right off the bat. But anyways, it's true what you say. You have to understand how big this thing's about to get, and how if this mood doesn't get corrected now, then you have to face this attitude when it's full size. And people don't understand. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a full size black dragon. It is no joke. All right. I've even seen a pissed off one. That's the scariest thing I've ever, like, I've seen one kept in a PVC enclosure. It was really fucked up. It was like it was 4 foot high and like maybe about 6 foot deep. It just like, and he filled like half of that. And he would rock the whole, like when he would tail whip the enclosure, the whole thing would shake. And it was like the most intimidating thing I've ever came across. And I just know like people aren't ready for that shit. A lot of people are not ready for that type of time, because that thing could do damage. It could fuck shit up.
Yeah, I've never seen a black dragon that big, but I remember when we first got Crollo, we used to watch Tyler Nolan's videos and remember his black dragon that he had, Tyson. I was like, man, there's no way I'm dealing with the dragon that big with that kind of attitude, you know?
Yeah.
So seeing stuff like that, you're like, okay, I got to figure out what I have to do. I'll do anything to help tame this dragon.
And Tyler's, I mean, he's a buddy of mine. I respect like everything he does, because he's pretty like, he's a farmer, does it all. Like I watch his content and I love his life, but it's hard to really keep up with all that shit to where like you can't avoid certain like things that could potentially happen. But more importantly, I remember when he first got that dragon and he was able to obviously hold it. But then I remember by the time I went to go visit his place, he's like, I don't even fucking look at that thing no more. And I'm like, really? It's that bad? And this thing was fucking mean, dude. And I was like, holy shit. And it does change. Like, I'm sure he still loved them, but like it changes like the motivation to want to like, because like, dude, who has time to get hurt by something like that? I don't. But also too, like you just gotta respect something like that. Like you have to, like, and I'm, like I said, I'm really glad that I went through what I went through with the Nile, because I got to the point where I was ready to get back into monitors and I wanted a black dragon. I really, really wanted a black dragon, just because, like you said, I kept seeing baby pictures of them, and then I kept seeing babies of them that people had, and I was like, this is the fucking coolest thing ever. Jet black, just like it's like Jurassic Park. Come on, like I even saw them in an egg once, and I was like, this is crazy. But then also, but you're like, it's kind of the puppy stage. Like you're in love with the puppy stage right now. Like, are you ready to take on what this thing needs when it's an adult, no matter what attitude it could have? Because there's no guarantee. Like I even know well-respected monitor keepers who even tell me there's that one monitor who just doesn't fuck around, and you have to respect it for what it is. So yeah, like, oh man, like that's why I'm really, it's really cool, because one thing that really scares me, and I think you're the third person that I've seen you do this, was like you just fed it, your hand has the food smell on it, and you go to pet it, and it's chill. Like that right there, I don't have the balls to do that at all. And I love my laces. I love them. They've never even done anything aggressive, but I won't do that. Like I don't. And this is why I'm like, dude, this is the third time I'm seeing someone do this. And I'm like, this is pretty smart. Like I feel like they should know but I'm just like, I just don't want to fuck around and find out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh man. But how? Okay, and I want to let's get into that. Like, how did you get the courage to do that, and who convinced you and all that stuff?
Well, I've been hand feeding them since they were babies.
Right.
But I've noticed that what they do is, because monitors, their pupils will dilate.
Right.
So they're trying to focus on that, because I give them meatballs,
right.
and they're focusing on that meatball, and they know I'm going to aim for that. But if I move my hand, because there's a video where I move my hand and Kill ends up biting the glove.
Right.
But as long as you don't move your hand, they're going to aim straight for whatever it is that you're feeding them.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I think there's a video of you, like, after you just fed them with your hand, you went and like let them smell it, and they were like, they didn't attack it. I think it was your biggest one. And so, and then I saw someone else who was dipping, like, so he was thawing out a bunch of quail chicks. And he was hand feeding him quail, and then he was this was pretty gross, but he would dip his hand in the quail like where like what they were like marinating in, and rinse his hand off, and then go and pet the monitor like under the chin, and I'm like, holy shit, that is like, but that just shows you how smart these things are. Like, you got to respect, like, this is like, if you got the balls and you're willing to build this kind of trust, this is how smart they actually are. You know what I'm saying? Because I always knew monitors were smart, but fuck, this is a whole nother level of, like, a reptile understanding what's happening, or a reptile using its brain, right? Because don't you think it's cool? Don't you think that it's cool that there's reptiles out there that use their brain this much? Like, I'm a snake guy, right? And I don't see a lot of brain activity from a snake. No offense, like, I just, not the way a monitor does it,
Right.
So it changes. Good.
It changes everything. And I think because there aren't too many people that really test the knowledge of monitors, people forget how intelligent they are. But there's been multiple times where Kilua, they watch everything that you do, and she watches me slide her glass open and close. And when she was smaller, and she used to be able to open the doors for enclosure, but she would literally stick her claws through between the little crack between the wood of her enclosure and the glass, and she would slide it open, and she would get out. And it's like, man, like, you have to be so careful. Now we have like a latch on top of her enclosure, and every single time I close her enclosure, she watches me put that latch on, because she knows, like, I'm going to try to open the enclosure.
If a monitor is not like, especially like the monitors that we're talking about right now, like a Black Dargon or a lace monitor, or any kind of Asian water monitor, even sulfurs, if that thing's not happy with its housing or what's going on, it will find a way to get out. Like, these things are like, they're escape, like they will escape, they will fuck shit up until they get out. And that's like the big, one of the things I'm trying to get the balls to just do is build outdoor enclosures for my lace monitors. Because in San Diego, as long as they have somewhere to warm up and whatnot in their coldest, which will be high 30s at the coldest that Spring Valley would ever get, but it's typically like mid 40s. But if I have something where they can warm up, it's fine, right? But man, if they get out and they're outside, I don't know how I would live with that. I don't know how. I just, like, this isn't Florida, and I don't want it to be Florida, but I don't know what I would do with myself. Like, how would you feel? Like, it's like your dog leaving. It's like, but then also it's like, where is this thing? Like, where's the fucking 6-7 foot lace monitor? And that's one, like I said, I do have people I got a lot of homies who keep monitors outside, and there's double contained doors and all that stuff, but so many things could go wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so I just like having them, for me, if I could, my way, if I had enough room, and it's all about room and just having space. But if I had enough space, I would have them in a facility where it's kept with the door shut. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That way, if they do get out, if they really, for whatever reason, then they're not going anywhere. But they're just so smart, man. And that's why it's also important to make sure you give them what they want. That way they're not even tripping, and they're just like happy to be there. Like my lace monitors, they put themselves away. Like, I'll open up, if they scratch, okay, come out. They come out, they roam the room. But then when they're over it, they put themselves back, and I go, and then I just close the door, So as long as they have that, I think you're good, right?
Do lace monitors dig? Because Black Dargons, they dig.
No, I mean, I see Mac Dre on the floor. Like he'll go around and he'll dig and he'll try to mess with Alice's nest box. So I guess I want to say, yeah, I guess they do dig. I don't give them much substrate on the bottom. Like it's pretty thin layered as far as what's on the floor, just because I know they probably would dig the shit out of it. But you know, from where they're from, like they don't need a huge water dish. Like they're not like what Black Dargons need. You know, Black Dargons, they're Asian water, they live, they like to be in the water. Lace monitors not so much. They like to be high up. They're more like they like the high ground more than anything. And they're kind of in like semi-dry areas, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think they dig too. I think any monitor likes to dig like a lot. So and which I want to get into like the day-to-day, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, with all due respect, Black Dargons could be pretty dirty. Like they're I mean, especially if you feed them turkey and shit. Because I do notice whenever I do my turkey meatballs for my lace monitors, Uncle Mike, I don't know if you follow Mike Stefani. I would highly recommend following him if you don't. That's my Uncle Mike right there. And he's like, nephew, he's like, you keep feeding that damn thing those turkey meatballs, you're gonna be scraping shit off your windows every morning. And I was like, let me just do my thing. And dude, sure not, man. When those meatballs go in my lace monitors, they love them. But boy, it is not a solid shit coming out of that thing, out of that monitor, unfortunately. But how is it for you? Like, I gotta ask you what it's like cleaning, or does your boyfriend Johnny do all the dirty work? Because if he does, you could give it up. It's a dirty job. Like, I don't know if I can let my wife. Well, first and foremost, my wife is not cleaning that shit. First and foremost, but even if she did keep, I don't know if I would let. I feel like I would want to step up. But either way, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's not something that I ever really do.
Yeah.
And when I do, it's just to show people. But you know, it's keeping Black Dargons really isn't that hard for us. But I feel like it's because we have a lot of tools that make keeping them a lot easier. So like we have a 100-gallon tub. And with that 100-gallon tub, there's a filtration system, there's plumbing, like it's all set up for us. The water's running 24/7. And they mainly poop in their water. Now, Kata recently, he's been pooping on his ledge. Don't know why, but we just spray it down with chlorhexidine and water, and then literally just take a rag, scrub it, and then that's it.
Wow. Yeah. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not, because you know, let's think about multiple, you know, monitors. Kind of changes everything, right? If you have like, let's say a dozen of these to keep, but really, like you said, you kind of keep things where it's easy for you guys to maintain. And also with that filtration system. Now with the water, how often does that need to be replaced and all that? Like, or I know there's a filter and all that, but doesn't that water still need to be replaced at some point?
He can answer those questions better than I can.
Okay, no worries. No, I'm just
eventually.
What's up, Johnny? Yeah, I should have just invited him on the show. What's going on? Nice to meet you, man. Hey, listen, shout to your lady, shout to you, man, because I love the species Black Dargons, but also I do know, you know, you got to be a dialed in person to really enjoy this species, because or else if you're not on top of it, things can kind of go fucking south. And I'm curious, so with the water and you replacing all that, how's that work?
You know, I feel like when we feed them a lot, then obviously we have to change it more often. But usually it's like between 1 to 2 weeks max. Anything more than that, you know, the water starts getting real yellow, you know, it starts not filtering as much.
Right.
And part of that filtration system, it has an external pump with a strainer. Okay. And in that strainer, most of the time when I change it out, there's a lot of shed or maybe some substrate. So that can't go too long without, you know, taking out that strainer, make sure you get all that out, you know, to keep it clean.
And so there's an actual like a plumbing system also on that 100-gallon tank. So if you ever want to drain it, you have a way of draining that?
Yeah, so like it's like rigged up for our situation that we have right now. So we're living in Wyoming and it's not going to be our permanent home forever. So the type of plumbing I have, the backwash and the rinsing functions of that filter, I have like a like a hose set up where I could hook up the hose, detach the hose anytime I need to go ahead and do that backwash or do that rinse. So, when the time comes, I hook it up, I run it outside, and then I go ahead and hit that backwash, drain all the tubs completely, because both of them are hooked up from each room. So I got a 100-gallon tub in one room, another 100-gallon tub in another room, and both of the plumbing hooks up to the same filtration system. But I mean, this filtration system though, it's huge. Like it's
not your ordinary filtered system, is what you're saying. It's like it's like next level.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, they look into like the fluvels.
Right.
Those are a lot used in the aquarium industry, and even I was considering getting one at one point in time, but the cleaning of that is just a lot more involved. Those have a lot of medium that you have to switch out, and a lot of sponges. And this one, it's a lot easier. It's like a self-rinsing system. So even though we have to do water changes, the operation and just the procedure of going ahead and cleaning that is not as hard as some.
No, I have to ask you, who is familiar as far as like how often they eat? Do you handle the feeding, Johnny, as well, or is it both?
I mean, it's her most of the time.
He does the icky stuff.
I do all the hard labor.
She does all the fun training stuff. Let me ask you this, Cheyenne: how often are you feeding the animals? Like your adult black dragon, how often does that one get to eat?
Yeah, so they eat 3 times a week.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll feed them. Yeah, it's 3 times. Sometimes I'll feed them 2 times a week. It just depends. I've noticed that because we had taken Kill to the exotic vet before. She like faked in it. She was faking an injury. She was acting like her arm was broken, and it was not broken. Once we got
have it snipped out or something, what was she doing?
She wouldn't walk on it. She wouldn't walk on it. So we were like, oh my gosh, her arm is broken. Take her to the vet. It's not. So before, when we had went to the vet, we had given her a chicken foot. Wasn't a big chicken foot. But we had given it to her, I want to say like 3 or 4 days before, and it had just started to digest into her system. Like you could see the bones breaking apart. So we give them already ground whole prey, and that usually digests within a day. But we noticed a difference in their behavior, giving them something that's ground whole prey compared to something that is like whole prey.
So do you guys like to avoid that then? Like, do you guys have certain like, do you still do chicken legs even with that kind of digestive? No, you stay away from that now.
Yeah, we really don't feed them chicken. It was just an occasional chicken foot, like once a month or something like that. But once we saw that in the was it CT scan?
Yeah, it was a CT scan.
Once we saw that in the CT scan, we're like, okay, maybe we should just continue to feed them ground food, because if we feed them 3 times a week or twice a week, the food that they already had probably isn't going to be digested, and that's probably why they're feeling a little groggy and don't want to interact as much. So the ground food for us was the best way to go.
Yeah. Now I have to ask you, Johnny, do you ever let her handle them without being around, or you make sure you're always around whenever she has them out?
For the most part, I try to be around, just because they've gotten to the size where they like to just get to the highest point. So you take them out the enclosure and they're trying to crawl all over your face. They're trying to get on top of your head, and they got those razor sharp claws. And
bro, oh my god, they hurt. You try to just be like, oh, I'm good, but nah, man, it pierces. Like because my lace monitors, they like to climb, so I don't want to trim their claws, because I feel like they use them, but I have to pay for that whenever I want to take them out, and I get like I have scars. Like, I feel like I'm getting scarred every time I handle them, and it's like it's worth it. But until you hit the shower and you're like, oh my god, this shit stings. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys believe in trimming the claws, or do you guys do that because they're more on the ground, or how do you guys like to approach that?
So, I mean, we would love to trim their claws, but the thing is that whenever we interact with them, they never stay still. Like they want to explore, they want to move around. So
I don't think that they would even let us trim their nails.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of like climbing in their enclosure when they go up to their basking ledge.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I feel like even if they grind down, you know, a couple days later, they're sharp again.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, naturally they need that. I feel like, you know, and for the most part, people want to trim them so they could have them out a lot and like show them off and like have them for a YouTube video. But I don't know, like I don't look at these animals like that. I mean, do your thing with them, but they're just not meant to be like a show animal. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to respect it for what it is. Because like, you know, mind you, they have moods. I'm sure. Like, do you guys ever see that some of them have better moods than other on certain days? And maybe you're just like, you know, because I know sometimes Mac Dre, he's having my male's pushing, what is he pushing 3 years old, and he's getting bigger, and I feel like he knows he's getting bigger, and sometimes he's just like, I could just see in his face he don't want to be messed with, and I go, all right, you know, I'll go do my thing, you know. But do you guys ever kind of notice that some of your monitors don't want to be messed with on certain days?
I feel like that's Kilo all the time. Like she just is not. I feel like it's a very female thing of her to just not want to be bothered. And usually when we see that, we'll put the glove on because we train them to know that when we have the glove on, that means it's time to socialize. So when she's like that, we put the glove on and we just pet her and we're like, it's okay. We know that you're in a bad mood. We're just gonna play with you for a few minutes and then we'll leave you alone. So
yeah, see, even at a young age, for my laces, they saw that maybe because my glove was red. And this is also, I just realized like color might matter to some reptiles. Some reptiles might like a bright color. They might not like it, but I always had those fucking big red welder gloves, right? And I thought I could use those, but man, that's when they would spaz out. Once they saw that glove, they would just go crazy. And I'm like, and so I would take it off and they would prefer more my hand. And I wish that wasn't the case because now it's like, they still hate those gloves. Even as adults, bro, they hate those gloves. They'll tail whip me. They just don't like those gloves. Maybe I should change the color, huh?
Yeah, change the color and maybe smaller gloves because we have like their kitchen gloves that you use for cleaning. And it's more just so that they know that there's a glove on the hand. There's really no protection at all if anything ever happens, but they're responsive to those too as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because I mean, like kind of like the welder gloves that you're talking about. It's funny because I feel like for us, it's the opposite. Like we use those welder gloves and man, I'll kind of test my limits with those gloves just because I know that there's no chances of any accidents happening. So, you know, I'll pet them all over and, you know, things that I probably wouldn't normally do without a glove. But yeah, I mean, they seem like pretty chill and it's something that I used when I was trying to socialize Killua, because that was the one that we had some issues with early on. And it was like, if I didn't have that glove on, she would kind of freak out a little bit, like with the bare skin. So it was kind of the opposite. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking just earlier about like how I think we underestimate how smart these things are, you know, like they all have their thing, you know. Yeah. Like, you know, like for instance, mine prefers no gloves, yours prefer gloves, but they have preferences. Like, you know what I mean? But also you have to respect and find out what it is that kind of gets them like to like chill. I don't know if you guys are a big Kevin McCurley fan. Have you ever watched nerds socializing videos with monitors? Have you guys ever geeked out on that yet?
I've seen a few of his videos with monitors.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you have people who think, you know, one or the other about him. I just know right when it comes to socializing, that guy right there is one of the goats. Like he taught me a lot, you know, mainly about threads. Like, you know, you always have to end every interaction with the monitor on a good note, because if it like, let's just say it's like tail whipping you or not excited to be in the situation it's in and you put it back, it's like, all right, motherfucker, I'll remember that shit. And they don't forget. And it gets harder. It gets harder and harder with time, like we were talking about. But how smart of that to that reptile. Like, I think he deserves that kind of respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty neat. It's pretty awesome.
They definitely hold grudges for sure.
Yeah, they do, man. They, like I said, they don't forget. They do not forget. So that's why, you know, and I don't know. I know some people say it's not good to kind of train something based off of food, but that kind of what got me started in the right way of trust with my monitors is with food, because I was getting them out to me very comfortably. You know what I'm saying? And then I would also, not to the extent like Cheyenne, as far as like touching them after I feed them, but I would like pet them. Like I just wouldn't want to go by their mouth, but I would scratch them while they're eating. You know what I'm saying? And that right there told me like that would teach me, all right, they're at least learning it. But how do you guys feel about like having food a part of the training program? you feel like it could be beneficial?
I think it depends. It's beneficial if the monitor is food motivated, but if the monitor isn't food motivated, then what do you do? Like Kill was not food motivated. She wouldn't eat around you. She wouldn't walk anywhere around you.
That's a tough monitor to break, dude, when they don't eat in front of you. That night I was talking about never ate in front of me. Almost 2 years I kept them. Never once ate in front of me. And that's kind of why I wanted a monitor, because I wanted to watch it eat. You know what I'm saying? But dude, those are like there's something like it's being stubborn, you know, as far as whatever's happening. But go on, Cheyenne. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah, because that's funny, because how she said, like, what do you do when they're not food motivated? And
right.
And like really what it came down to Socialize that particular monitor was I literally get home from work and I'd have my hand in there for maybe like 2 hours just waiting for the monitor to gain the courage to realize, okay, this is not a threat. Let me go ahead and, you know, check this out. And, you know, after a while, finally get on my arm. And then, you know, that's kind of how I built the trust with that monitor right there.
It's funny because I would walk into the room, because he's the one that started working with Kilua, because I was just like, man, there's something off with this dragon. I was like, there's no freaking way. I told him, I was like, send her back to Alabama. I was like, because this is like ship her back to Bama, like put her in the Amazon box and return her to sender, because I was just like, there is no freaking way we're dealing with something like this. And then I started thinking about Tyler Nolan and Tyson, and I was just like, yeah, there's no way. But there would be times that he would literally stick his hand in her enclosure, and I would come in there 2 hours later and I'd be like, did she move yet? And he's like, no. I'm like, why are you still in here?
But that means everything. I mean, I've seen people go to the extent of leaving their clothes inside the cages. You know what I'm saying? Just so they just understand the smell of what's around them. But you know, even in this case, you just might, like, how many dogs have you known? I don't know if you guys are dog people, but how many dogs have you known that prefer male over females? Like I've seen firsthand, like this dog don't like girls for whatever reason, or this dog like don't like guys for whatever reason. But it's same case. It could be same case with a grown ass monitor, or with a monitor getting into a grown stage. Like for something, a male presence or a female presence just, you know, might not be its cup of tea depending on which one. You know, it just, I feel like, you know, if they're that smart to do all the other shit they do, they might be this smart to not have a preference if they like male or females. Even female dogs, you know, they get weird with other females. You know that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that could, I don't know, a lot of things to think about. But what's cool is, like, you know, you got to be willing to kind of put the effort, and more importantly, the energy. Like, this is a day-to-day thing. No matter how tough it is with a monitor that doesn't want to eat in front of you, or more importantly, just wants to fucking tail whip you, like, you still have to go and show up. Like, you still have to, like, put in the effort. And it's not easy, man. It's a everyday thing. And if you really love it, that's what I'm saying. Like, these things they're just not for everyone. Like, you know, like, you guys obviously went through the ringer on the very first one, but then now also in a position where you're like, should we continue this one? That's kind of a spaz. But Johnny's like, you know, wanting to hang in there. And I think that's what's important. Like, you know, it's kind of what makes a monitor keeper, because you're adapting to that monitor. Like, it's not a fucking easy thing to keep. I mean, like I said, it becomes fun, and you get into a systematic routine of things, but it takes a lot to mentally connect with the monitor. I feel like it takes time.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because kind of what you were saying, like, you know, it is fun, but man, I feel like there was a period of time where all my spare time after work was dedicated to the monitor. And if it wasn't one thing, it was another. Like, for a while, you know, always hiding. So, you know, that's cool to have hiding spaces, but, you know, it's not the greatest thing when you're trying to socialize them. So then, you know, that kind of became a thing where, you know, okay, let's try to limit some of the hiding spaces. And then, you know, I feel like, man, that was hard in itself, because those things, they squeeze in anywhere, and they get in places that they're just not supposed to be in. And that was an everyday battle. And then they got too big for the enclosures, so then we had to get custom made enclosures. And then once we did get the enclosures, it's okay, how are we going to run this plumbing? And, you know, okay, how are we going to regulate the temperatures in this enclosure? So it took a lot to get to the point where it's like, okay, it's manageable. It's not as hard as it once was.
Yeah. But even everything you're talking about, like it takes like energy, time, money to get to a standard that you're happy with.
Yeah.
Because I see these things kept in low standards and it's fucked up. Like this is why like I sometimes go in on certain people who just shouldn't be keeping these things if you're not willing to go to the extent like what you're doing with this. Like I know the water is so important to an Asian water monitor. Like that like is something where if you're keeping that good enough where it wants to be in there and it's clean and somehow that's a good start right there, obviously. And then the next thing is obviously having space for it. But it you know, it's just not a like quick, let me just do the bare minimum with these things. These things deserve a lot more than bare minimum. You know what I mean? But also like, are you willing to dedicate that shit? And you know, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's not easy, bro. But I think obviously you guys are enjoying the fruits of the labor because I mean, Cheyenne's on this show because I recently came across her page like 3 weeks ago. And I was impressed. Like, you know, I don't bring enough girls on this show, man. And I you know, it's not that I'm like, I love female reptile keepers for sure. More power to the female keepers, right? I just don't see enough of them. Like, I'm not seeing enough where like, I'm like, you know, like, no offense, but there's a lot of cringy female content out there with some of these reptiles. And I'm like, I want to see some fucking gangster shit. Like, I want to see some shit that, like, you know, I want to see some shit that like only guys are really doing, but here she is doing it, but she's a female. So, and there's, you know, there's a lot of girls out there, but either way, I think that's what obviously brought you to this channel tonight because, you know, you're a lot more than the average keeper because you're trying to do more for it. And obviously having a significant other is crucial. Like, I mean, when you have someone on your team that is, you know, your ride or die, but with the reptiles too, I mean, that's kind of a cheat code. Like you guys are going to pretty, I mean, you guys could do whatever the fuck you guys want technically together. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot more than a lot of people have. Usually it's just a guy who just loves it or just a girl who just loves it. But when there's like a duo involved, I think that's cool because you guys, I'm sure you guys have your strengths on both sides. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, as what we were talking about earlier. So, but that's cool. I mean, I love shit that is hard to keep, but it's being kept because we need more people to be keeping Black Dragons, but the right people, you know what I'm saying? And only way we could do that is kind of getting the right people and setting example, like letting them set the example. And that's why I think it's awesome to have you guys discuss all this shit because it's cute, right? It's awesome when they're little, right? Isn't it cute when you get them and you can put them in a 4x2, watch them run around and, oh, look at this little water dish that, you know, I'll replace that. But no, motherfucker, we're talking 100-gallon.
Man, it's funny because I remember those days, and man, I mean, the water dish was cool and everything, but man, that sucked too because
every day,
every
2-3 times a day.
Yeah, 2-3 times a day.
It's straight black. It's like black water, and you're like, that ain't. I have OCD, like, and that's why I feel like people who have OCD like that do well in this because you're not going to just sit there and let that. And but to the point, it's like you're saying, like, God damn, again, 3 4 times, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We used to have Kata trained to where she would scratch at the door when she would want to come out, but I would tell her, you need to use the restroom first. Because if she didn't use the restroom, she couldn't come out. So it was like, man, like 3-4 times a day, constantly picking up her water bowl and then taking it to the sink, dumping it, and then filling it up. Oh my gosh, it was such I don't miss those days. Like baby monitors, so much fun, but having to clean up after them, not fun.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's so cute raising them, and it's fun. And then next thing you know, they're, I don't know. It's like a kid. It's like, you know, and I just have a baby. I just recently had a kid, but now I kind of see what parents go through. Like, wow, so awesome. Now you're this 8-year-old little shithead, fucking spending all this money and like doing all this disruptive shit. And that's kind of what these adult monitors turn into. It's like, you're kind of a pain in the ass, buddy. You're a big ass animal now. You're fucking big. Real quick, I have to ask you, Johnny, did you go to Animal Con with Cheyenne or no?
Yeah, we went together.
That's where I met Benny.
Oh man, shout out to my homie Benny's in the building. What a supportive individual, but honestly, like, good guy, man. Really good guy. Knows how to connect with people. But how was Animal Con for you guys? It was, you know, I have FOMO because I missed it this year, unfortunately. But how was Animal Con? Let's talk about it.
It was fun. It was so much fun. I feel like I would do it again for sure. I think that there were a lot of panels that had a lot of good open dialogue, a lot of really good topics, and I hope it continues to thrive. You know, a lot of really good vendors too.
Yeah, I feel like I think the coolest thing about the whole convention was me and Cheyenne, like we haven't had a huge chance to connect with people, and going to something like that just kind of makes you feel like, oh, okay, we're not alone, and you know what we experience and what we do.
Oh, it's a whole world, bro. It's awesome. Like, and I will say, guys, you know, this is why, you know, when you have the other half doing what you do, it's another reason why you don't really need anyone, because you have each other in a sense, right? But also what helps both of you guys is just connecting with other people that will pursue what you're doing even further. And that only happens when you meet people in person. Like I love social media connection and relationships, but it's not really real life. What's real life is when you fucking go to an event and you connect what you have on social media to the person face to face, because then you're going to be talking, stories happen, memories happen, and then next you know, you become like lifetime friends with the, you know, lifetime people I'm like friends with that I would never be friends with if it wasn't for the Reptile game. You know what I'm saying? But it also changes everything, because here's one thing that's cringy to me, no offense, but a lot of people are good at creating the content, like they're good at painting a picture, right? And they kind of like go to these events expecting some sort of like recognition before there's proof of what they're actually doing with the animal, right? I'm a person where I want to see what you're like. That's cute. That's a cute reel, right? But what's your collection look like? I want to know what you're really working with. Like what's your business with the reptiles, right? And I like to just see someone who's putting in the work and then trying to show their name for it. You know what I'm saying? Because then you have something to talk about. You have something to present. So I feel like even though Cheyenne has shit rolling with social media, I felt like you guys concentrate on being a keeper first. I feel like that was more important, getting that down and then sharing the experience. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think that when you're on social media, you know, you have to figure out the kind of person that you want to be. You know, do you want to be a keeper? You want to be a breeder? You want to create shock content? Like you got to figure out the person that you want to be.
But like, is it about you or is it about the animals? What you need to ask yourself, right? I feel like, and you do see a lot of stuff where it's kind of like gloating the person versus like, you know, like it's about the animal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like that's, and then I know there's content for everything out there, and I know like this is why I don't really fuck with TikTok, because I can't handle it. I just can't. Like I just want to learn about reptiles. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I feel like you need to have the experience and the actual work behind what you're trying to put out, which you guys have done. And I think that's awesome to have what you guys already have established, and then now you're getting yourselves out to Animal Con, because I will say you'll meet some of the top creators at Animal Con. Some of the best animal creators at Animal Con. I mean, Barczyk, that's the GOAT in my opinion. Like he's my favorite. I mean, Brian Barczyk is what brought me into this whole world of reptiles. And it all started based off YouTube. Like I had no relationship with anyone in the reptile game other than Brian Barczyk's YouTube channel, which I stumbled across because I was depressed one time. And that was it. and then I spent like 3 months watching Barczyk videos, and then I'm buying ball pythons just as pets. And then it just, you know, obviously turned into all this. And me and Barczyk are good friends. Like somebody I've already been friends with him for 4 years now. So it's just crazy how connecting with people changes everything. And I think it's smart that you guys are considering, and I feel like you should do that more. Like you should definitely come to the West Coast. Come back. She's from San Diego, Johnny. Wait, are you from LA? Where are you from, Johnny?
From LA.
Yeah, so I lived in the LA County. I moved around Torrance, Gardena, you know, those areas.
I'm not gonna lie, don't take this disrespectfully, but with your mustache, you hella look like you're from LA.
Yeah,
but you look very LA right now.
yeah. Oh man, you ain't gotta tell me, bro. Shit.
I love it. I grew up with you guys. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I love it. You know, it's cool to have people from the SoCal area, but like SoCal could be kind of big, but come on, man, we're SoCal. Like LA, San Diego doesn't get more SoCal than that, you know? But also, man, do you miss it, Johnny? Like, do you miss the West Coast at all, or what's going on with you? And I asked Cheyenne, but I have to ask you now. What's your like, how much do you miss, you know, where you're from?
Oh man, I mean, I wish I could go back, but I mean, with how much we got right now, and just the way that the prices are back home, it's rough, you know. Man,
it's rough, bro. So okay, I have to ask you, what brought you guys to Wyoming?
So I had actually came out here like in 2014. It was a job opportunity, and I was out here for about 3 years, and then I went back home, and a couple years later, that's when I met Cheyenne, and we're just talking over, dinner one day, and we're like, hey, if we want to, get ahead, I think this is the best decision for us right now, just to go out to Wyoming. And, there's a job opportunity for me. There's a job opportunity for her. And it's something that we could just leave and, focus on building. So that's what we did.
We pay $950 for where we live.
Yeah. It's
for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
And it's gorgeous. I have a good buddy of mine who was from Wyoming. He lives in Colorado now, but my buddy Nick Lavera, he lives in Wyoming and would show me just like beautiful pictures of like the fall, like, before the cold front, right? And then he would show me the wintertime shit. I'm like, you're fucking. I'm like, fuck, you can have all that shit, bro. But you guys know, like, dude, I don't function in cold weather like that. I shut down. Like, I can't move. Okay. Like, I want to stay in bed. I don't want nothing to do with nobody when it's that cold. How the hell do you guys adapt to that cold?
You don't. You don't.
It's funny because Cheyenne says you don't, but she gets to stay in the house, in the office.
No, that makes sense.
So, like, where we work at, there's office people and there's people who are in the field, and I'm out there freezing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I come back in and she's like, "Oh, it's cold." I'm like,
"You don't know what cold is."
He's got snow on his mustache.
Yeah, like man, yeah. Just to give you an idea, the coldest I've ever experienced out here was -50.
See, bro, come on, that don't.
Yeah, that's -50, and we're talking about 30 to 40 mile per hour winds.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's for what? I mean, for months. I mean, it's cold. Your winters are long up there.
Like half the year.
Yeah. So like I always say there's 2 seasons. You got winter and you got summer, and that's it.
But you have beautiful summers and falls. Like, it's like this, like once that shit's gone, it's gorgeous up there, right? Like you have true true seasons up there where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but man, I feel like it's not last.
It's not that nice. I always admire it because where we're from, we don't get seasons. What the fuck? We don't hardly ever get any kind of like crazy change like that.
I'd be okay with not experiencing that.
You're not missing anything.
You're not.
I'm trying to make you guys feel better, but I'm sorry. Let's keep it real, man. Okay. I love it here, man. But obviously a big transition obviously is the demographic, like the people up there. I mean, are you finding good like Mexican restaurants, or like what do you do? How do you eat? Like, are you just go like, what do you do to maintain like your, what Mexicans need? And that's good Mexican food. Like, that's what we need.
Oh, we're on a drought, man. It's bad. The only time
I just send you a first aid kit full of Mexican food or some shit.
The only way we could get like decent food is if we cook it. Like if you're gonna rely on
decent.
It's like the best decent food I can get is here.
Hey man,
you guys heard that?
Decent can be really, really good. All right, but what I'm trying to say is that if you don't,
there's levels of decent. There's levels of decent. All right,
levels of decent. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that we only got fast food here, so it's like if you're willing to eat that, then there's no shortage, but there's not really any good restaurants like that. And we live in a small town. We probably have maybe less than 10,000 people in this town.
I don't know where they are. It's more like 1,000.
Yeah, it's you could drive around the whole town within maybe 10-15 minutes and it's done. And then the nearest town is maybe 4 hours away is Denver. 4 hours away is Utah.
Wow. Okay, so let's kind of like future talk this. Like, is there anything that would bring you back to Cali if circumstances were to land, or are you trying to literally legit just build a life and a family out there and not ever come back?
No. I mean, I feel like we're trying to hit a financial goal, and then once we hit that, I mean, we had talked about actually coming to San Diego and just settling down there, but I feel like we have to be in a good financial position to live comfortably. Because I mean, we could afford to live out there, but it's like, how do you want to live?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, obviously, everything's crazy down here right now, right? But if you look in like just east of San Diego, because like Cheyenne's saying, like there's people where you're 45 minutes from the beach and it's still good. But I'm talking like being like 20 minutes from the beach. Like there's Rancho San Diego, there's Jamul, there's Alpine. I'm in Spring Valley, but really close to Rancho San Diego. Once this shit chills, because everything's just overpriced, there's definitely places that you could swoop on at when you're ready, where once the market's right. But it's cool that you already have shit established where you're at now. Like, I think that was a smart move to kind of get ahead of the curve, get somewhere that where you could stack more, you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of hard to buy. I don't know how, man, I'm really blessed, but when we bought this house in January, I was like, how am I going to save money? Because like, bro, our mortgage is stupid. I should be in $1 million house right now with the mortgage that I'm paying, but I'm really not. But anyways, I was really worried, and you know, God is good. So I was able to just fucking figure it out and stack. But I think that's what's important, is like not getting yourself in a situation where like savings is no longer part of what you're doing. I can't live check to check. Like, I don't. San Diego is impossible. You can't do that. You're gonna put yourself in a really bad place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to live in $1 million home, but that was one of the favorite things I love doing when I went to San Diego. I just drive around La Jolla, the mansions, and I just like just chill.
I mean, it's man, and it's cool because, you know, we got some cool shows that pop off over here now, and so, you know, how do you guys have any plans on visiting at all? Like, any kind of plans for the holidays or next year or whatever, as far as coming home? Like, Cheyenne, how big's your family here in San Diego? Do you have a bunch of family here?
I just have my dad there. He's in Encanto, but my dad's like my best friend. So we were thinking about coming back in the summertime of next year. Yeah. But as far as living, we're kind of like on the fence because we live in like a tax-free state right now. And it's kind of nice. So I'm like, California, taxes are kind of high. Texas, everything's high. The gas prices. The gas prices, we get laughed at. People laugh at us. If you live in Cali, they think you're an idiot for living in Cali. I mean, but honestly, I'm so bougie. Like I said, I will figure out what I need to keep my taco shops that are 24-hour taco shops. We still got taco shops in San Diego that are cash only. You know what I'm saying, bro? Yeah. You know how Bob you think those are? Those are ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's stupid because my wife even said before we even got this house, like, what are we gonna do? Like, we might have to like be down to move. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, that's the case. But I'm willing to go to as far as the extent I can to stay here. And I think we barely fucking just got that under the bar. But ballsy shit, man. Either way, I feel like, I think it's cool that you guys are in a good place, and you guys, you still have your pops that are here to visit, and then you have all your families in LA. Johnny, I'm assuming.
Yeah, my whole family, they still live in SoCal, and man, I think they'll be there forever because they ain't never leaving.
All right, well, check it out. Hey, Johnny, you don't mind just hanging out for the rest of the show? Is that cool? Because I'd be cool to have you do the hot seat questions with her. I think it's epic when there's people involved.
I'll hang out.
All right, I got a wrap up question before we get into some hot seat questions, though. Okay, as far as new keepers go, especially somebody who doesn't have another half to help them out, right? Obviously, I will be the first to say that animals like this is very therapeutic. I was in a really bad place in my life, even before I got into ball pythons, and just kind of seeing Barczyk's videos and what he was doing was enough for me to just kind of like just think things through on what I really want to do with my life. And it was being around animals. It made me happy. So I could tell you right now, and I'm sure you guys will agree, that this shit is therapeutic. You know, like, I'm sure when you go to no matter what animal you're in front of, you're calm and you're at peace with it, right? So I know that there's other people out there who are at the beginning stage that we were all at one point. But if someone's looking to get into keeping a black dragon as their first monitor, or even their first reptile, or just whatever, like at a new stage, what's your advice out there for a new keeper who is considering getting into it, or maybe they already have it and they're looking at it in a tank and like, wow, it's cute?
I would say, I feel like through this journey, one of my biggest, most favorite resources has been Facebook and joining Facebook groups and talking to people in those Facebook groups, man, because everyone's situation is different. Like, people will ask me, oh, you know, how is it with kids? And I'm like, we don't have kids. Like, join a Facebook group and talk
different
to kids. Like, yeah, we have like Black Dragon kids. Like, talk to people in different groups and see what their experiences are like, and try to figure out like where your situation fits in that situation. So I always recommend Facebook groups, because sometimes just like watching videos on YouTube, it's not enough. It's not personable enough. You know, you got to actually like get out there and talk to people.
I'm not a big Facebook fan, but I know Facebook is very necessary for that exact reason. Like you said, there are certain information that you cannot really look past on Facebook, because a lot of OGs, like a lot of people who refuse to go to Instagram, they hang out on Facebook, and they have these pages and these places where they put really good information out, and mind you, there's some group pages where it's not, don't even waste your time, but you find the ones that you like and the ones that you connect with the most, and it can really take you far. So that's how I no matter what, I don't fully hate on Facebook. I do know it is a reason to have it. You know what I'm saying? Now, Johnny, with you, since you are more on the side of making sure husbandry is correct, what would your advice be for a new keeper as far as husbandry side of things go and whatnot?
So for me, I feel like the biggest thing would be to automate as much as you can.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because one of the biggest challenges I faced with monitors was that I lived in a house that did not have good insulation. So some days it would be super hot in the house, and some days it would be super cold in the house.
Right.
And that changed the environment of my enclosure so much, to the point where, having, a certain bulb maybe wasn't enough on some days. Maybe it would be too hot or too cold, depending on how the weather was. And to regulate that, all hours of the day, that's tough.
Yeah.
So if you have some type of controller to regulate that temperature, that's like a big thing for me, because that'll save you a lot of headache in itself. And then as far as, temperatures, make sure you have your gradient. That's why I feel like a lot of monitors, they get RIs because, it's too cold, too humid. And, that's why we have a humidity regulator if it gets too high in humidity, it'll suck all the humidity out,
Yep.
So I feel like those two things, to regulate the humidity and regulate the heat when it comes to these dragons, especially when they're at a young age, because when they're young, they're not as hardy as some other reptiles. They could pass very easily when they're, so young.
Yeah, and I lied. I do have one last thing I want to talk to you guys about that I feel like very important, because, in a sense, no matter, especially if you're pretty disciplined and you're a structured individual, these will be fun and easy to keep at a certain point once it's all dialed in. But things fucking change when it comes to breeding, for sure. Do you guys ever have any ambitions to wanting these to breed at some point? How do you guys feel about breeding black dragons? Let's get into that.
I don't see us being breeders. Like, if anything, I could see us doing something exclusive where we have like a few clutches and it's just exclusive to the people that we think are fit to take care of our baby monitors.
Right.
But I don't see that happening like in the near future.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, because even because you have a confirmed female for sure, right? One of the black dragons is a for sure female.
Yeah, Kill is a for sure female, and Kata is a for sure male.
And how old's your female?
2.
Okay, so she's approaching that size where she can start cycling at some point. So even if she's not paired up with the male, she could still kind of give you guys eggs. Johnny, do you have like a nesting setup for her if that were to ever happen, or do you have a box set up for that situation if she ever starts to show like she's gonna like cycle for whatever? Because they do partho clutches all the time. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, we have a nesting box, and I have all the materials for it. We actually had tested the box out where we put it in the enclosure for a while just to get her familiar with it.
Right.
But when she had that whole situation with her arm, we're like, hey, let's take this box out for right now until we're sure that she's healed, because one of her favorite things was hiding behind the box or inside of the box, and it was going to be too hard to monitor her. So I took it out for a while, and I'm sure we'll be putting it back in, once she gets a little older.
Yeah, mainly I say that because, I fear this even with my own monitors. Like, my female is just as old as my male. I think they're about to be 3 years old, and he's not really ready for her, but man, she's big. And, you know, I do know the one thing I don't want to fuck up on is having a situation where she's not comfortable with any kind of nesting or where she wants to lay the eggs, because I know monitors won't lay them. They'll hold on to them to the point where they'll just die, and they'll retain them, or not retain them, but they'll, you know, egg bound basically. And fuck, man, like you know, you raise something this long, even though 3 years isn't long. I mean, to me, in monitor years, that's a long time, because you're every day with this thing. So I've definitely had things in my mind like, fuck, I don't even know if, like, I love them so much where I don't even care about breeding. In a sense, would be cool, don't get me wrong. And yeah, I did buy these to breed them, but even if I didn't, I love them that much to not care about it. And I that's why when you guys said, well, we're not really too much on breeding, I connect with that immediately. But also too, like, fuck, these things can still give us eggs, you know what I'm saying? And you always have to have what they need. And I think a lot of people don't understand that aspect. They don't even realize, even though I'm not breeding this female, she could still lay eggs, and she needs what they need, and they need that nesting temperature and all that shit. It's very important, you know?
Yeah. So, I think for like breeding, one thing that we're worried about the most was, you know, we're social with the monitors, and when we're interacting with them individually, everything's fine. But you just never know how a male is going to react to a female, or a female is going to react to a male when you're not around, or, you know, you're not there to watch them. You know, that's one of the biggest fears, I think.
I'll send you a video after this, Cheyenne, to your Instagram, because, you know, everyone has different experiences, right? And I had somebody tell me like, oh man, your monitors are old enough. Like I think you could probably like pair them up. And I'm like, really? You think so? And of course, me being a ball python breeder, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's breed them, right? So I for the very first time ever, I separated them, right? Separated them for like 2 months, shut their lights off, completely like cooled them down, right? And then I heated them back up. And I was like, and mind you, before I did this, they have been outside the enclosure together. They've like peas and carrots in a pot. Like they just like are best friends, right? And then until I separated them, and then once I let them come outside again, whole nother scenario. So basically, female came out first. Alice is cruising. That's my female. And then Matt came out, and he's just kind of like, and he's normally confident when he walks, but he's coming out and he's like almost looking for something. And I'm just sitting there like, all right, this is interesting. So mind you, Alice spots Mac from like across the room. Alice just charges after him. She's like, I'm like, oh shit. And so Mac is running, and they're like chasing each other around the room. So I grab a broom and I like put it in between them. And I'm like, dude, that was close. Right. So I give it a couple weeks, and I do it again just to see what would happen. Same shit, man. But they got chest to chest, but they locked each other this time. And I was like, what is happening? Like, and then I had people telling me, you have 2 males. Like, oh my God, you have 2 males. And I'm like, I got proof that they're not. This is a male and female situation. But then I talked to, like, I don't know if you know who Brian Waterloo is. He's a well-respected lace monitor breeder, and he told me, man, if that female's closer ready to breed, and that male, any male that's not the same size of her or is on that time to breed, they just want to dominate the shit out of them. And so basically, she wanted to breed, but this fool just wasn't ready. He wasn't trying to, you know what I'm saying? She was like, get away from me. If you're not going to give it to me, get the hell out of here. And I have a video of this, dude. I'll show it to you. It's fucking nuts. But my heart dropped, man. I'll never forget, because technically, you know, because I was told if those were 2 males, they would fight to the death or something like that. Or somebody was telling me, like, you're very lucky. And mind you, it looked like the female was trying to bite him. So it was a scary situation, and I didn't want nothing to go down. And the male was the one trying to get away from her. So yeah, dude, that shit was nuts. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like what happened to my 2 little fucking best friends that loved each other. You know, breeding just changes everything. Like, it's a whole curveball when it comes to that extent. So, and guess what? Right now they're separated. So, oh man,
try again.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But all right, guys, what an epic episode. I appreciate you guys so much. I got these hot seat questions for you too. Now, the way this works, quicker the better. You can answer these. If you have to explain it, that's fine. But since there's 2 of you, I need your own answer and not look at each other. I don't need any kind of like, I don't need any what would you say type of shit. Just tell me what you would answer, like if you're by yourself. You guys ready?
Okay.
All right, guys, do me a favor. Get the likes up for these two hot seat questions coming in hot. Let's go. Here we go. Frozen thought or live?
Frozen.
Frozen.
Oh, well, frozen then thought. Yeah.
Yeah, frozen then thawed.
Frozen thought, okay. Egg cut or no cut? Would you ever cut an egg? Like, let's just say you had a monitor egg, right? Would you ever be that person to cut an egg, or would you never cut an egg?
I would wait. You know?
I
would definitely wait.
I mean, if you're not supposed to cut it, then I probably wouldn't cut it.
Yeah.
But if you're supposed to cut it,
you got egg cutters out there, and you have people who don't believe in that. So that's why it's kind of like, you know.
I'd have to talk to the OGs first.
Yeah, I feel like I would wait, but I feel like it's in a situation where it's like, okay, need some help. Then yeah.
Favorite dwarf species of monitor?
Kingorums.
Yeah, the leucistic Kingorums. Yeah.
Yay imports or boo imports?
I would say boo, because I feel like a lot of imports are wild.
Yeah. What about you?
But then I would say yay, because then you get new bloodlines. So
Yeah.
There you go. You gotta take the good with the bad and the bad with the good sometimes, you know. What about this? What is one reptile you guys would import to your collection if you guys could, no matter what it is? Let's just say space didn't matter. Let's say you were ready for it. What would that reptile be?
Komodo. I would do a Komodo if I had all kinds of space.
Hey, Cheyenne, put a ring on it. I like this guy. This guy, right? All right, what do you got, Cheyenne?
There's what was that monitor that we saw at JTK's?
Oh man, I forgot.
It was this monitor that was like black.
Yeah, it was like a black and white striped out monitor.
Bell's face lace monitor. You're talking about his Bell's face.
No.
It was a water monitor.
Yeah, so it was a monitor, and they're actually like illegal to import. But yeah, JTK had to. Yeah, but it was super sick. Like nobody really has them. Man, I forgot the name.
I'll have to send you a picture of them.
Yeah, send me a picture because now I'm curious. All right. To spray or mist a black dragon, or to never spray and mist a black dragon?
I spray and mist
Yeah,
them.
we spray and mist every now and then.
Yay sports or boo sports?
I don't watch sports.
Yeah,
so
neither do I. No.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. Big flexor or no flexor?
I feel like Cheyenne's a big flexor. That's why she's always on. That's why she's always on social media.
I'm literally just sharing my life experience.
She's like, "Oh, we got new enclosures. I gotta flex this."
That is not true.
She's like,
listen, flexing is what got you on this podcast. So I'm gotta say he's not wrong on that. That's a good thing.
Cheyenne's like, hey, "You're done setting it up. Let me post it."
Well, okay, Cheyenne, what would you call yourself? A big flexor or no flexor?
I would say, I mean, I'm humble. I'm like in between. Is there like a middle answer?
You're medium flex.
Yeah, I'm like medium.
Okay. Steak or fish?
No, steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Filet mignon.
Filet. Yeah.
You can't go wrong. It's
Yeah,
like if you ever want to be disappointed, I mean, obviously they could still cook it wrong, but still overall, like, you're not going to go wrong with filet mignon.
Yeah, medium rare, man. It has to be.
Ooh. With blue cheese?
Yeah, with blue cheese, fire.
Stop. I'm starving. Jesus.
Yeah. Some grilled onions.
What I asked for that. Okay, how about this? Yay alcohol or boo alcohol?
Boo alcohol.
Yay alcohol.
Boo.
What's your choice? What's your choice alcohol beverage, Johnny?
I feel like if it's like beer, I like mango carts. I don't know if you ever tried them.
Never.
Yeah, it's called Golden
They're
Brew
so
mango
good.
carts. They're pretty good.
Okay.
And then I feel like if I'm drinking like liquor, it's probably like Jack and Coke. Like that's like my go-to when I'm out.
So even if the occasion lands and it's like you could have whatever alcohol beverage you want, Cheyenne, what would it be? Like, what would be your favorite alcohol beverage?
Whatever is sweet. Whatever doesn't taste like alcohol.
Yeah, that's when we're.
I think I'm allergic. Like when we went to Animal Farm, I was drinking and I was like, I don't think I should be doing this.
Yeah, but you're in the moment. That's what that beauty about Animal Con. You just get caught up into things. All right, cool. Little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk,
peanut
Lactose.
butter,
substrate,
humidity.
No, I'm having a brain fart. I can't think of what kind of
Oh, she's talking about cypress mold.
Yeah,
that's
what
her
we
first
use.
thought. She thinks of cypress mold. Yeah.
I was gonna say wood.
Instagram trolls.
Block.
Restrict. Say what you need to and then restrict them.
I'm more of a restrictor too, because I still want them to suffer and see all my shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they're jealous for sure.
Yeah.
I like that. FedEx shipping.
The trash. Yeah.
Yeah, they steal.
Trash.
Yeah. Okay. First time monitor keeper.
Yeah, that's a hard one. First time monitor keeper. Money. Money. That's what I think about. I think money.
Support. Okay. One reptile show you like to attend, like any show around the country. What would it be? Like Reptile Super Show and RBC. What would it be?
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, I like going to the super shows just because I feel like, man, there's so many like breeders there, and you can see so many cool stuff there.
I want to go to Tinley. I want to see all my friends again.
All right. If it came down to you only keeping one species of monitor and you can't keep anything else, what would that species be?
I feel like it had to be the Black Dragons.
Yeah,
Black Dragons.
I mean, once you just can't go back from that. It's kind of like, I'm a pit bull person and I can never keep anything else but a pit bull because that's just it's my MO. Like, that's my dog. You know what I'm saying? But same with monitors too. Like, I mean, I love multiple monitor species, but the laces are my thing. And I already feel like if I had Black Dragons, I would never go back. Like, it's just once you get to that level of what you have, because it's like, man, it's an honor. Isn't it an honor to keep something like that? Like, it's so impressive.
Yeah, like I feel like if it wasn't Black Dragon, I'd really want a snowblind. I was trying to get one for the longest, but
a snow what?
Snowblind?
What's that? What's a snowblind?
So there was this breeder. His name was Danny Gorman, and yeah, you know what's crazy is Danny Gorman. Like, I feel like he was such like an innovator in monitors, but nobody knew about him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've seen that video where Brian, he showed all white monitor that he had got.
The albino, is it the albino, not the albino Nile? Is it that one or is it an albino?
It was an albino water monitor, but the thing is that Danny came up with his own variation of the albino where it was like super, super white. It
was like pure white.
Yeah, it was like pure white. And he called it a snowblind. And he actually sold most of his first clutch to a good friend, in which then he sold one to Brian Barczyk.
Yeah,
and,
I think that's the way, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did he name it Chicken Strip? Wasn't that Chicken Strip?
I think it was.
It was Chicken Strip.
You said Chicken Strip passed?
Yeah.
No,
or wait, am I tripping? I don't know. I can't keep up with names. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't Chicken Strip, but I do know it was a white. He had a all white monitor, albino monitor that passed away after, like, it was random too. Like, he just saw it and it was rolled or something. It was really sad. So it's like some of these rarest ones that we lose. It's so sad. It's like, fuck, like, the best ones leave too soon.
Yeah, but nah, man, if I could get one of those snowblinds, I was actually talking to the breeder. Like I said, his name's Danny Gorman, but it's crazy because he ended up passing away of cancer. And man, like he was inviting us to his house in Indonesia, and we actually ended up going to Indonesia, and we never got that opportunity to meet him in person.
Do you know when he passed away?
I feel like it was probably in the beginning of the year, closer to the beginning of the year.
Wow, that's unfortunate, man. Damn.
Yeah. But like, it was crazy because he had like a whole like
like a farm.
He had like a whole compound in Bali.
Now I know who we're talking about specifically now, because I've heard his name be dropped before, but now this guy, and I've heard about this guy through Barczyk.
Yeah, he's dope.
Damn, it sucks that you never got to check his place out.
Yeah, because he had told us like, oh, we could go down there and check out his compound, and it was crazy because he had like the perfect environment for monitors, so he would get like wild monitors.
Yeah, dude, what they have available over there is fucking nuts, bro, and we'll never get it. It sucks. Well, there's shit over there we'll never get our hands on.
I know.
It's also, I don't know. As much as I would love it, I like that there's still stuff out there that we don't have. Like that shit like that. You know, I know some herpers would be mad at me for that, but
yeah, because Danny's brother, he actually had like a transporting license, and he was like, yeah, man, you know, once we figure it out, You know, I could have my brother transport him. He has a license, and I felt like that was the only way I was going to come close to a monitor like that. But, you know, I guess it just wasn't in the plans.
2 is enough.
Yeah, 2's a lot.
You would think that an animal like that's going to be like, what, 20, 30 racks probably, right? Like that's going to be a real expensive animal for sure.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Damn. Well, check it out, guys. Hour and a half went by quick. This was an awesome time. And I feel like definitely when I have more of a monitor panel type shit going on, I would love you guys to come back on the show, talk more about the amazing Black Dargon. But we just had shy of 60 people tapped in at one point tonight. So what do you have to say to all the love and support that you guys had and everyone who just wants to see you guys do great in the industry?
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you stay around to watch Kata and Kill grow. Yeah. And thank you so much for having us on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, this wasn't like I don't know, like I like what you're doing straight up. You know, there's not enough monitor keepers out there who are like doing it right. You know, and it makes a lot of sense because you got Johnny out here who's helping you. But it was Johnny, I would say, and Cheyenne, obviously this was a pleasure, but having Johnny sit down was like a real treat because I got to tell you, the more we would have kept talking, the more in the back of my head, I'm like, I now have to do a whole other podcast with Johnny. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm sure I will because, like, you know, the knowledge is there. You guys are great. You know, continue doing what you're doing. I'm going to continue to follow your work. Good job, Cheyenne. I appreciate you guys so much. Instagram's the best way to, like, that's the biggest thing you have all your content on is Instagram, correct?
Yep, Instagram. Okay.
Cool. And the link to her Instagram's in the description below, so make sure you go follow it. And also respect on your following too, because that's a respectable following. So obviously what you're doing is good. So keep doing it because that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man. Well, Johnny, Cheyenne, don't be too, Wyoming up there. Come back to fucking Cali as soon as you guys can. That way we could double date, hang out, and you teach me to be more like ready to put my hand in front of my lace monitor after it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's fun.
Sounds fun.
Do me a favor out there. Give it up for Johnny, Cheyenne. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. Hey, have a good night. Thank you so much. All right. Hey, and happy Thanksgiving. Have a great happy
Thanksgiving.
All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.
What a great show, man. Thank you, everyone who tapped in. Had a great time with these two. Really treat to see the other half step in. You got other halves that just like they do the work, but they just rather not talk and be seen. Johnny stepped up to the plate, and I thought that was great. I think that made this episode even better for sure. But not that it would have been better just with Cheyenne, because respect all the girl power keeper out there. I need more girls definitely to come to Trap Talk. So if you feel like you're a female out there who needs to be put on because you're putting in that work with the Reptile, come hit me up. Trap Talk God 619 on Instagram. Let me know. But Cheyenne, respect to you. Johnny, respect to you. Appreciate anyone who came in and showed love to these two. But it just goes to show you, everyone loves and has a passion for an animal. But also, are you right for that animal? Always think that. Are you right for this animal? Even though you love it, can you put in the work? And when it comes to a Black Dargon, work is ahead of your future. I mean, it's part of your future. I meant it's going to be a lot of work. But if you love it that much, you don't look at it as work. So shout out to the real passionate keepers out there who, no matter how much their reptiles put them through the ringer, you love them. You go through it every day. Have a good night. Thursday, Thanksgiving happening right here. Trap Talk happening Thursday night. My boy Kyle Hoffman from the Royal Ambassador. So it's going to go down. Ball python type energy, but OG type knowledge happening. This guy's been in the game for over a decade, so it's going to be good to talk to homie Kyle finally on Trap Talk. So set your reminder. All right, but more importantly, make sure you hit that like button tonight for Cheyenne and Johnny. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and be ready. And again, if you're looking for exclusive content, first link in the description below. Click on it, join the Trap Talk Patreon family, connect to the Discord, connect to the IG family, and come have fun with us every Sunday on the Zoom calls. Appreciate all the love and support. You guys are amazing. You're beautiful. Have a good night. I'll see you Thursday, and I'm out.